When you go online today on social media platforms and are involved in watch groups, you will see one debate pop up more than a few times, and it's about Homage watches. Some people love them and some people despise them. And then there are some like me. I don't love them, nor do I despise them. What I mean by that is that I personally won't buy Homage watches, but I understand some of the reasons and motivations behind people buying them and why there is a market for it. Hello and welcome back to Mind on the Move. I'm Saqib, and in today's video, I will give my take on this matter and some pros and cons of Homage watches. For the footage, I've used my mate Brian's Steinhart Ocean 1 Vintage GMT. That is a homage based on one of my favorite vintage watches, the Rolex Explorer 2 1655. So what is a Homage watch? A Homage watch is a watch that takes design inspiration from and pays homage to an already existing watch. Homage watches are made of lower quality than the original watches. While I think it's fine for watches to take inspiration from another watch, I strongly believe that it shouldn't directly copy it. For example, this Steinhart Ocean 1 GMT looks like a carbon copy of the Rolex Explorer 2 1655. Of course, this is part of why Homage watches are such a hotly debated issue in the watch community. Not everybody agrees that these watches should exist. Homage watches should not be confused with replica watches. Homage watches are legal, but replicas are not. The difference between a homage and replica watch is that a replica watch will still use the original watch's branding and logo and essentially try to appear as the real thing. Replica watches are counterfeit products that try to portray themselves as the real watch they are trying to imitate. I urge you not to buy or wear them. Homage watches have become very popular, and some brands' whole existence is based on making lookalike watches of the most luxurious and popular brands. Brands such as Steinhart and Parnis are dedicated to mostly copying the style of Rolex watches. The number one reason why people buy Homage watches is that it looks almost exactly like your dream watch. Depending on the model you're getting, some can recreate even the smallest details of a watch. From a distance, you would probably think that this Steinhart is actually the Rolex 1655. Another one of the biggest pros and reasons why people buy Homage watches is that not everybody, including myself, can afford to spend large sums of cash on a collection of many different luxury watches. And a Homage watch can sometimes scratch the itch for the watch it is paying homage to. This Steinhart Ocean 1 Vintage GMT costs around $620 and can scratch the itch for a Rolex Explorer 2 1655. That would set you back around $30,000. Another benefit is that you don't fear wearing your watch. I mean, sure, $600 is also the kind of money to worry about, but I'm pretty sure that you would be much more worried going around with a $30,000 watch on your wrist. The fear of scratching the watch and being robbed can be a real fear when wearing higher-end watches on a daily basis. Apart from getting the right looks, some watches get the quality right too. A lot of these brands produce not only aesthetically pleasing models, but also have relatively good off-the-shelf movements. To add, a lot of the Homage watches have solidly built cases, especially considering their price tags. With that said, it is important to do some research on which Homage watches are worth looking at and which ones would give you the best value for your money. I have said that Homage watches are different from counterfeit watches. However, this does not stop people from disliking them. So if you're going to wear your Homage watch, there's a chance that you'll merit some glares from some people. If someone recognizes the Rolex Explorer 2 Homage you're wearing and compliments you on your Rolex Explorer 2, you then have to go on explaining how no, you're not wearing the Rolex Explorer 2, even though it looks exactly like one. And you'd have to explain how your watch is from a different brand that makes a watch that is inspired by the Rolex Explorer 2. This doesn't bother some people, but it might be a huge downside to some. Depending on the movement used, a Homage watch may be difficult to service and repair. Some Homage watches use cheap movements to keep costs down, and sometimes cheap and obscure movements might be unusual to watchmakers and may be difficult for them to find replacement parts. Keep in mind that some Homage watches like Steinhart use a solid and reliable movement. But let's face it, some people only consider buying Homage watches because it is the closest they can get to their dream watch. While there's nothing wrong with buying these watches as stepping stones, there's a chance that it might not give you the same fulfillment of owning your dream watch. Sometimes saving for the big piece is much more satisfying. There is something to negatively be said about the instant gratification of buying a cheap Homage watch instead of saving up for the more expensive version of the watch you really want. Sometimes working hard and saving your money for the grail piece you really want can make the piece all the more special to you, and sometimes just giving into the temptation to buy the cheap Homage detracts from that experience. I understand that budgets are subjective, and purchasing a luxury watch may not be financially the most sound decision for some, including myself. So I do not blame you if you choose a Homage watch for this reason. While replicas and Homage watches have a lot in common, its definition all boils down to intention. Is it trying to fool people into thinking that it's the real thing, or is it trying to honor a more popular model? Regardless, anyone who is considering buying a Homage watch should certainly try to research their potential Homage watch. Whether or not you're a believer of Homage watches, there is no denying that it tries to make the watch community more inclusive by giving people affordable alternatives to watches that are really hard to acquire. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on Homage watches? And is there any watch that you might not mind buying a Homage for? If you enjoyed this video, do smash that like button and also consider subscribing. Follow me on Instagram at WiningOnTheMove. Until next time, cheers.